let me just assess a couple of co-hosts in case I miss people joining in. Hey, welcome someone on the ambassador account. Thanks for joining in. We're this close to getting started. Just spreading a couple of co-hosts and then we should be good to go. Hey, Sugar. It's always a nice little surprise, like, who's gonna be behind that name? I like it.
Hi everyone. Happy New Year.
To you as well. All right. Waiting a second for Colleen to reconnect to audio, and then I'll kick off. She's not reconnecting. There we go. Nice. All right. Let's go full screen. And then here we are. Happy Tuesday, happy January, happy 2025. Hope you had a nice holiday. And yeah, thanks all for being back. Today we're being joined by Ashley, Colleen, Lilu, Mikasa, Sugar and Spice, and Zalfred. A small group, but a loved group. Thanks all for being here. As you can see on the screen, pretty much the same concept as in 2024, a little agenda. We'll start off with a couple of mentions, and then I'd like to spend a bit of time on a scam warning. A bit unfortunate, but I do think it's a good thing to create a bit of awareness. Then we'll talk a bit about workgroup budget changing policy. We discussed this during governance workgroup call earlier today, and I'd like to potentially get a little bit of feedback on it before we submit it as a Treasury policy request. And after that, I'd like to talk a bit about the setup of the town hall. Any suggestions on how we do things would be quite welcome there. If there's any time after that, there's space for open topics. Clickety click. Yeah, then a quick reminder for those joining for the first time or viewers watching this for the very first time. Please do click that button. There's a subscribe button. It helps a lot. I see everybody on YouTube mentioning that. It does help a lot. So I figured I'd throw that in as well. Yeah, quick reminder on what the ambassador program even is and what we're doing. Basically, we're a group of like-minded people all in tune with the mission and vision of the Singularity Net ecosystem and that want to help contribute to it. And there's a wide range of self-organizing work groups on a broad range of topics. So yeah, if you're interested in helping out, we do have a work group that fits. So hop onto our Discord server and you'll find a how to join section there. And this will tell you how to join. Yeah, then a couple of mentions. Two things we need more input on. One being the end of year report for 2024. I made a little draft and I did see quite some work groups putting sections in. These are still in draft versions. The aim is to release this end of year report more in the second half of January, which, seeing it's the 7th already, time flies. So it's going to be, yeah, rather quick. So any workgroup inputs there is very welcome. After the tunnel, I'll put a link to that document in the Ambassador General channel. And same goes for the feedback form on the monthly workgroup syncing call. We had 2 people respond so far, which was useful, but is also a small amount because there's a lot of work groups and a lot of people joining these calls. So yeah, the more feedback, the merrier. So please take a little bit of your time and submit that form, which I'll also link in the Ambassador General channel. On that note of the workgroup syncing call, we used to have this on Thursday morning UTC, but it felt a little bit out of tune with the broader schedule of, well, basically all the workgroup calls. They're all in the afternoon/evening UTC. We had a little look around, and it looked like Wednesday 13 UTC would be a nice spot. So for the upcoming one on 29th of January. So basically it's in the week of the Townhall where all the work groups give their updates. So this month, that's going to be 29th. And yeah, I just went ahead and put it on there. But if there's any objections, perhaps I somehow missed some overlaps or anything, do let me know. But without any feedback on it, I think the 29th 13 UTC will stay. All right. Yeah, then it's a little bit of a mention, a little bit of a not sure what to call it, public service announcement, I guess. Over the past couple of weeks, there's a big uptick in a specific scam attempt, and I figured I would spend a minute, well, creating a bit of awareness, because yeah, the moment you get scammed by the scam, you lose all your wallet's content, and that's just a very big price to pay for. Well, it's just scam, so you don't get anything back. It's just a big price to pay. It's not even for something. Basically, what the scam is looking like is you get somebody in your DMs pretending to be from HR from an unspecified company, usually. Let me click once. You can see an example of this on screen. It's all about yeah, we're awesome Web3 blah 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 remote doing cool stuff. We have a whole bunch of positions which are well paid. And yeah, if you're interested in making a shit ton of money, do reach out to whatever contact. Don't. That's the very short version. It's no serious company would just spam people on social media in their DMs, listing a whole range of as you can see, it goes all the way from beta tester moderator to tokenomics specialist and security specialist. It's all fluff. It's no serious company would reach out like this. And yeah, it's just every time this happens, it's heartbreaking to actually see people getting scammed, losing their hard-earned tokens, like building up over the years. And yeah, that's just terrible. Basically, once this happens and once somebody has lost their funds, there's practically zero we can do. It's gone, basically. That's the short version. So I figured I would at least bring a little attention to this. Yeah, two small things. If you happen to be in contact with somebody like that, at some point they will tell you to download some files. Don't do that. It sounds too simple, but it happens before you realize. I've seen quite some conversations of people. Well, they were showing how this scam was working, and yeah, before you know it, you just download something small, and sometimes instantly, sometimes weeks later, all of a sudden, your whole wallet is empty and gone, and that's the end of it. And then I get to tell people that that's the end of it. That we really it's blockchain, right? It's final. Once a transaction is done, there's no customer service, there's no taking backsies. So yeah, two simple things would be, well, I should have put here on top of here, like, just ignore DMs. A random person on the internet sending you a DM, 99% sure it's a scam. Close to 100, to be honest. And well, one addition there is invites to Discord servers. It's also been something that over the years has been used a lot. You can make something in a Discord invite. where if people click it, they also share their login token. And without getting too technical, it's basically compromising your Discord account. We have seen that happen in the past. It's not really a big deal until you have some access to, well, let's say on the Singularity Net Discord server, if you manage a couple of channels or a lot of channels, the person getting access to your account can also completely screw up the server. I won't give shout outs. It's just very unfortunate when it happens. Yeah, so bottom line, stay safe. If something is too good to be true, sounds to be good. Nice one. If something sounds to be good, too good to be true, it probably is. All right, enough time on that. And that's then an actual topic rather than a more generic scam awareness message. Earlier today during the governance work group call, we discussed the situation where if a work group has some budget allocated based on their proposal and it got consented on and approved. But let's say they realize they want to change that whatever project it is, like building a specific tool, for example. What if they realize like, oh, this tool, maybe it's not what we need. We could need a different tool. So we discussed how to go about it. And we're thinking to submit this as a treasury policy. And so I figured let's put it to the town hall, see if we can get a little bit more input. Pretty similar as what you can see on the slide is also posted in the governance Discord channel. But I figured, yeah, let's put it to the town hall to see if there's any things we're missing out here, or yeah, maybe some improvements. Basically, the outline would be that we look at the quarterly budget, and if the amount the work group would like to change to a different spending, if that's below 5%, we figured, well, the work group should have that autonomy to do so without, yeah, any process behind it. It would be required to mention it in the quarterly report, which you make after the quarter is finished. And if the change would be a bit bigger, so between these numbers can change. I think they're quite decent. But if it's between 5 and 35%, the way of going about that is mentioning in the decisions to be made channel, also tagging the core contributors, and then wait for a week of potential. I see that didn't fit on the slide. Wait for a week on potential objections. If there's no objections within a week after tagging the core contributors, then that would give the work group the freedom to change this allocation. And then if it's a really substantial change, like 35% plus, in this case, it would be required to include in the next quarter's proposal. So you would, let's say you have a 5,000 total budget for your work group, and you want to change, I need to make sure the numbers make sense. You want to change 2,500, let's say, of your allocation. You want to actually spend in a different way. You would only be able to do so in the next quarter. And then for the next quarter, it would be not counting towards your work group's budget cap. Yeah, that's pretty much the current thinking. Yeah, with a little side note that these type of changes we would limit to one time per quarter. Otherwise, yeah, you're just changing the whole proposal in the end. So yeah, I don't know. Are there any thoughts in the room on this? Is this even something to pursue? Is this, yeah, would this be needed? Would it be wasted effort to even make the policy? Any thoughts? This is the interactivity portion of the town hall, so feel free to speak up.
Uh, Hi there, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay. I think this is a good approach to the problem of um, budget proposal. I think the ability for us to make adjustments after a budget being drafted out is really necessary. So speaking on behalf of the
Sorry,
work group,
Afrat, sorry, I have to interrupt for a second because I did say loud and clear, but I have to come back on the clear part. Maybe it's just me, but
can you hear me now?
I think it improved a bit.
Okay. I was trying to say it's quite an impressive approach concerning budget proposal because speaking from the video work group, we had slightly an issue like this. um, I think the last quarter of 2024. So I think giving us the opportunity to make adjustments to project proposal is really really cool. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. And yeah, it's based on practical situations where people bump into problems. So yeah, definitely trying to make that easier. Sugar and spice, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just have a question. Where does the extra fund come from if if the whole budget has been exhausted because we've shared to all the work groups? And if a work group is asking for more, where does that extra fund come from?
Um, well, it would not be more. Like this would be like, let's say for quarter one, you want to build tool one, but then you decide that you don't want to do this. So then you are not spending that allocated budget. So this is not for requesting additional budget. It's just let's say you like I think this refers to the doesn't change the doesn't count to cap portion specifically, right? So this would be money that you don't spend in quarter one because well the work group decided it was not a good thing to spend on, and then that would be carried over to the next quarter. So it's not requesting more budget. It's changing the allocation basically. I hope that somewhat answers,
Okay.
but please feel
Yeah,
free
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
ask
Yeah,
further
I understand
clarification.
that.
Okay, cool.
Well, ideally, it's usually the remainder is usually in the treasury system. That's your cumulative remaining. So even if you get to do um you get to do something about it later on, you need the funds. It's always there. That's your work group reserve. So I don't know.
Well, it's a good point in a way. Like this, when we were thinking about this, it did not really consider work group reserves and how it would impact. It's related to it. Um, yeah, I kind of feel like if you as a work group, if you decide to not want to spend money on something you in the proposal you mentioned you were planning to do, um, I guess in theory, as a work group, you can already spend your reserves the way you like. You wouldn't need any consent process for that. Mm, I need to think a little bit how that relates. In the meantime, I do see a raised hand by Kenichi.
Yeah. So, happy New Year, everyone. Actually, compliments of the season, and yeah, my question actually relates a bit to what Sukrin just said because I was that's my basically just trying to ask if moving to this new format that we're taking, does that mean that we're not using the work group reserves anymore? Because if so, then it has not been properly communicated. Because when I read the information myself, I had that same question: where is the allocation going to come from? But yeah, this puts the reserves, the whole question and decision back into perspective a little bit. So we might need to take a look at that.
I think the simplest way of going about it would be just seeing this separate from the reserves at all, in all, for all practical purposes. It wouldn't impact. Unless I mean, so first of all, on the communication side of things, this is not new policy. This is just during governance work group call earlier today. This was a suggestion towards submitting a treasury policy, and treasury work group has a little process for submitting a policy, and then there's a couple of feedbacks. So this is not like starting tomorrow. This is new policy. Additionally, if your work group simply wants to do as they proposed, this doesn't impact. This is purely for the situation when you want to, during the quarter, when the budget proposal is active, if you want to change something as a work group, this would allow you to. And compared to the current situation, you wouldn't be allowed to. So that's I hope that gives a little bit of context. I think for all practical purposes, it does hold to see this outside of the work group reserve or context. It's simply putting something from one quarter or one allocation to a different allocation. And please do ask for further clarifications if it's unclear, because the whole idea of submitting a policy like this is that that it's clear and that it makes sense. So if there's stuff not making sense, please do speak up. All right. I guess seeing nobody speaking up or raising hands, I think that kind of covers for now. Yeah, basically the Treasury work group has this has a form for submitting a policy suggestion like this. So I think, well, I do think it would make sense to leave a little room on Discord discussion to potentially, well, raise anything before we actively submit.
Yeah, I think so. I think most of us are already thinking about it. We're trying to digest the whole thing. So
Mhm.
giving a little bit of room for us to talk about it more before submitting it would be a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the prime reason I figured let's push it to Townhall to see if there's anything, any input, basically. So let me think what makes sense. Maybe leave it out for the week, and then during next week's governance call, we can submit it. It's in a way a little bit slow, but at the same time, might be good to give that space. Yeah, and also, well, yeah, I would strongly suggest to participate in the discussion on the governance channel. I think that's the way to go. Or alternatively, raise your questions now if something is unclear. Cool. Then we get on to the next topic, which also requires interactivity and speaking your mind. I figured it would be a good thing at the very first town hall of the year to have a little check-in on, is the town hall setup even any good currently? Should we change stuff in general? Over the years, we used to have some guests every now and then. Lately, we haven't really. I had somebody lined up for today, but that will be coming shortly. Not today, as you can see. But yeah, I figured let's have a bit of a brainstorm on should we just keep going as we are? Should we, I don't know. For example, on the I just put some random stuff on the slides. But we could do deep dives on work groups where work groups would have a bit of an opportunity, not on a monthly update base, but more on a this is why we matter kind of pitch. Maybe that's something interesting. A bit of background on even creating this slide and putting the topic is that every now and then I find myself figuring out like what should be today's agenda after town hall. Every now and then I would say maybe once a month there's a request for an agenda item. Well, there's four town halls every month. So I do feel every now and then like I personally have a lot of impact on the agenda of the town hall, and ideally this should be way more decentralized. Yeah, let's leave it at that for now. So any thoughts? I guess in a way you're the wrong audience to ask because you are here. So there's at least something that convinced you to join the call. Maybe I should have added another line on like, please skip all these interactive parts because every now and then it feels like, yeah. Oh, Vanessa, that's a good one in chat. Or could be a good one. As you would you mind saying it out?
Yeah, I was just thinking, what if a different work group kind of took it on to run town hall in turn? And then they could decide, what kind of would they like a guest? What kind of guest would it be? What would they want to talk about? Is there, because it's not so much about a deep dive. When you said like a deep dive on work groups, I think it's more about the issues that have come up in your work group that is kind of broader. So they could decide to just chat informally about stuff that's come up for them and what's interesting. But I do think it's another thing for a work group to have to think about doing. So maybe it's a pain in the ass. But since there's 21 work groups, you don't have to do it very often.
Would come down to twice a year. Well, first of all, I wouldn't put it mandatory. I think like if a work group would feel really bad about having to do it, yeah, we're not winning anything there. I think it's a good suggestion. Could be interesting. Kenichi, you have your hand up. Go for it.
Yeah, so I just wanted to like add a little suggestion. I mean, it's something that I've been thinking about for a while too. Like maybe our monthly recap where all the work groups, do a short 5 minutes about the month. We can sort of push that to X. I mean, if we were to do a live broadcast on X, that would not only show people, a bigger insight into what we're doing at the ambassador program, but it's kind of like, basically free marketing in a way. And when we maybe at the end of the monthly recap on X, we can literally just say, hey, for shorter or more close-up look on, check out our weekly town halls, which we do on Zoom. Because for me, I think the Zoom thing, it's like it kicks a lot of people out basically because not everyone is so familiar with Zoom meetings and all. And X is just kind of like a social media app that everyone can just tune in for like 5-10 minutes without feeling like it's an hassle basically. So yeah, I think if we add something like that, maybe in just like once a month, yeah, it will really help with the numbers and also with new faces on our town hall.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, +1. I like it. In theory, I think you can even stream from Zoom to X, but might as well just do it. I mean, assuming everybody has an X account, that's I'm not 100% sure, but I imagine most do? Question mark. Like it would be a bit annoying if certain work groups are not included because of using X. I like it. And that will be specifically for the monthly work group of that one. Correct?
I think that's what he was saying. That's what I got out of it.
Oh, I see the thumbs up. Yep, yep. Yeah, cool. Anyone in the building with further ideas or suggestions or things we should stop doing, maybe? It's also viable. It's a suggestion, yes.
Danny. Poetry slam.
What those are just watching rather than also seeing the Zoom chat. Suggestion to make the first of the month a poetry open mic. Also, it was not too serious.
And then we do the finger snaps. Yep.
And on just I am curious on the guests side of things. Would that even be something what those present here are interested in? As in, like, how to say, low, how to say, my English got rusty of in the holiday season. Well, basically, like, for example, on the ecosystem projects, would that be something interesting? Because that's a relatively low bar on, getting someone from Nunet or SDAO or
Or Jam Galaxy, or right, any one of those. That would be great to have like a featured guest, like once a month or something, or more. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
that's all kind of different setups you can do. Like maybe, like in theory, I expect most of the projects they could fill a whole town hall. So if it's like that, I think more than one a month becomes a little bit. Then we don't have any town hall. We're just talking about other projects. Yeah, on the other end, if it's like 15 minutes, we could still also discuss whatever topic is relevant at that week, or maybe half an hour. I don't know. We can play around with that for sure, but at the same time, if nobody's interested in it, then why even bother, right? So, I figured, yeah, I'm just curious what people think. Oh, I like that, Vanessa, in chat, the suggestion to focus for potential spin-off guests on how people can get involved with them. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's in a way. I think that's also where the value would be for that project, the spin-off. Yeah, that's cool. Last check.
You know, who I'd like to have is Beyond the Code, Nefertiti Strong.
I'm sure she would. She would like. Yeah. And she's awesome. That helps a lot.
Oh yeah.
All right, quick check. Any further thoughts on the topic before moving on? A spoiler alert. The next is the open topics one, so it's still your turn. Complete silence. All right. Then let's. Well, let me just add that in general on the town halls, I hope I've iterated this plenty of times already, but if you have any agenda item suggestions, yeah, just shout them, basically. Yeah, so that's it agenda-wise, from my side at least. There is room for any questions or the topics we should be touching on. Feel free to simply go for it. You can unmute or raise your hand or all the good stuff. Ooh, I missed that silence. Cool. Well, then in that case, it's a wrap. Where are we time-wise? Not too bad. Cool. Well, thanks again all for joining in today. Yeah, I'm sure I'll see you on one of our many upcoming community calls. Do check the Ambassador General channel for the links to the two documents I mentioned at the start. And yeah, that's it. Do have a nice remainder of your Tuesday, and see you on the next one. Cheers.
Thanks for facilitating, Peter. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.